development in Mumbai, and his in-depth knowledge and vast experience is penned in his book, Project Management of Hydrocarbon Pipelines, A Journey. Mr. Rajesh Vedvyas, he's the Managing Director of Indraprastha Gas Limited, has also worked with the Indian Oil Corporation and GAIL. He had successfully led the creation of infrastructure for conversion to natural gas from the alternate fuels by the small-scale industries in the Taj Trapezium region. Mr. Vipin Chandra Chittoda, Managing Director, Mahanagar Gas Limited, with a rich experience of more than 35 years in hydrocarbon industry in public sector Navratnas, PSUs at prominent positions, during which he had the experience of conceptualizing, engineering, planning, controlling, implementation, installation, commissioning and maintenance of large petrochemicals, refining, oil and gas projects. And Mr. U.D. Chaubey, Director General of Standing Conference of Public Enterprises, SCOPE, an apex body of public sector enterprises in India. He was the Chairman and MD of GAIL, Brahmaputra Cracker and Polymer Limited, recipient of the Distinguished Fellowship Award of the Institute of Directors, GSBA Top Rankers Achievers Award, and a Lifetime Achievement Award from Amity University. Mr. Chaubey would be chairing this session, very fruitfully chairing this session. And then we have Mr. B.S. Negi. He's a member Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board with 41 years of experience in the areas of oil refining, fertilizers, gas processing, transportation, E&P, and gas sourcing. He has been associated with the import of LNG to India from Qatar, Iran, Algeria, Yemen, Australia. He has been the member of the technical team from India negotiating for the Iran, Pakistan, India, and the Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, and Myanmar, India gas pipelines. I now request Mr. B.N. Negi to put before us the issues for this discussion through his presentation.
Thank you, Meenu. My fellow panelists, distinguished audience, very good morning. This will basically a flagging of the issues, not a presentation per se. I have tried to cover what is the actually situation in SAARC member countries today, how the infrastructure in gas could be extended there and what is the status. Then gas sector dynamics, as the main theme says, investment opportunities and a regulatory regime, and challenge and opportunity. These are just flagging of the issues. Then we'll discuss the question answer session. SAFI member, Bangladesh, let's say, the pipeline infrastructure in the east side is still developed or west side still remains. Even the gas is not available. We have seen in the previous discussion, they wanted to export even gas, but today the situation is their own country is not covered with the full network. Similarly, Bhutan, there is no gas infrastructure. India, we have 11,000 kilometers of pipelines, transportation, and 48 CGD networks. We call it GAs, geographical areas in India. Some of them, about 24 are with gas charged, and balance 24 are in the stages of different project implementation. Nepal, similarly, no gas infrastructure. In Pakistan, SUI North and SUI South network is well developed, and CGD in many of the towns also available. Sri Lanka, no gas infrastructure as of today. So there is a lot of potential actually to connect this region, all the 6 countries, with the gas network. It's possible, we can discuss in detail. Then what we mean by gas transportation dynamics? I've tried to define with 3 A's: the availability of gas, the accessibility of gas, and the affordability of gas. These 3 A's will combine the dynamics, basic factor. We call the primary factor of the gas dynamics. Availability, you have seen in the morning session, just before this, how that E&P, the import, cross-border pipelines have been envisaged and what has been done. Accessibility is development of the pipeline network. In India, especially, as I said, 11,000 kilometers are existing. The planning as it goes, the pipelines which were authorized by the government, the pipelines which have been authorized by the board, and the pipelines which are being envisaged for the bidding process will contribute almost 1.5 times of this. We will have a network of about 25,000 plus by 2016. That is what the planning stage indicates. So accessibility of gas or accessibility to the gas in India will be ensured by another 4 or 5 years. And affordability is a big issue actually. You have seen in the morning, very heat generated. Incidentally, the pricing mechanism in India has been very distorted. You have seen in the beginning, pre-90, let's 70, when gas was not understood, what its implication, what are the utilization, what it should do, that the price was fixed by, let's say, government decided along with the expert committee. Then you have early 70s, that price was decided by the developer or by the producer with the negotiation system. That negotiation will change from time to time, from place to place, so it was given again market distortion. In 75, again the same thing happened. You say no, cost of production should be distributed. The cost of production also is a time factors. Some field give you lesser price for per million BTU development, and some give more. So price distortion were also there. Then government said, okay, we will fix the price. They started cost plus basis. This also didn't work. Then they have one committee expert, Kelkar committee, and they decided something with a regional approach. But if she, at that time, price fixation also was different. APM price was different, Panna Mukta was different, Rawa JB was different. Then another committee was constituted, TL Sangar committee. And they gave a linkage of price, which actually now Dr. Chaubey said that we should really be susceptible to accept the imputed price of gas. And if not, then gas will not flow or gas will not be utilized. It is very important. So Shankar committee gave a linkage of the gas with the international parity of the oil. He says 65, 75, 85, then 100. But it did also work. But the qualifying remark was again the hovering of the price from 2150 to 2850 rupees per 1000 meter cube. So that gives again a ceiling and the floor. That didn't work because government continued. Then they saw that where the market price is going 8,000 per 1000 meter cube, and India is charging 2850. How, if the return on the capital or return on the efforts are not available to the upstream companies, they are not going to develop further actually. That's what Sinha has said. That the total exploration in India is not even 50% complete. So this is what affordability of the gas price. We must really see what India can afford, so pay the proper price. Now further comes dynamic factors. Now these were the base factors. Dynamic factors, I said infrastructure, one issue. Government policy, energy security, integrated energy policy, as you have seen. Preference for gas, environmental concern, and regulatory regime. Then transport tariff. Now here it came actually, a very interesting observation by the investor. It was said that the transportation of pipeline, that means that transmission pipeline, are more susceptible for loss making, whereas the distribution pipelines are more susceptible for profit making. See, when you see that kind of concept in the market, that means I will feel that it is not really properly understood dynamics. When there is a bidding process, or let's say authorized process, the 11,000 kilometer pipeline would exist today, for which the tariff will be set by the regulator. There is a clear mechanism given that you have the capex, you have the opex, and you have the gas flows. And there is a 12.5% return given on that. And 12.5% return, today's context is, I think, more than enough. Further, if there is any undulation in the system coming up in future, there is a provision for modification of the regulations. That means the return is almost assured for 11,000 kilometers. So there is no necessity for any kind of suspicion that it will not give you the ROI. This is one issue. Second, now bidding process. The bidding process pipeline, there are two parameters for bidding. One is the tariff, second is the volume. Now volume can be determined or it can be augmented in a system. So initially the investor need not to have a full volume. Let's say 80,000, 50, whatever is the volume defined, he can make in stages like HVG of GAIL. It was originally 18.3, went to 33.4, went to 57 now. So therefore, the investment in transmission pipeline, if they are properly understood, I still feel that it is not unsafe. It is good return and more assured. This one. Further, you have seen the gas requirement in India. Not only deficit, it is going to increase asymptotically. Because when you understand gas uses with respect to the energy value, because globally the gas will always be priced less than the equivalent oil price. It's a normal phenomenon. 10% discount you have anywhere. So further, if you bring the oil, you have to have the refinery margin, the refining cost, the transportation cost, so other things. So as you have rightly seen in the first session, that gas vis-a-vis the liquid fuel will always remain cheaper, whatever may be the situation globally. This statement can be well underlined, and therefore, we must now understand the dynamics of this. Then comes gas pricing, then comes role of regulator. Role of regulator is simple. This I have already covered. Now, role of a regulator primarily is to give a level playing field with transparency of the rules and regulations and have a bidding process where competition can arise. These three things if you can establish, then regulator is safe. Plus what we say, in the large run when India witnesses a growth rate of let's say 7-9% whatever is decided, and pipeline infrastructure reaches 25,000 kilometers, CDG infrastructure reaches about 200 cities. The safety of the system is very important. That's what the regulator also should ensure, because ultimately it's a common man which will be served with the gas, city gas, giving you domestic connection, giving you the CNG, giving you the commercial, even the hotel like this hotel, it runs on gas. And you ask the economics, it's almost more than, I mean, not less than even 33% price-wise. So therefore, we need to understand the kind of benefit from the gas which are accruing to the common people. Regulatory conditions is okay. Now, with this, I conclude my presentation and will be able to answer any query in the discussion stage. Thank you.